Okay, welcome to our webinar. Let's go ahead and get started. Good morning and welcome. My name is Mike Verletic. I'm the president of Enterey Life Sciences Consulting. Thank you for being here with us today. I'm going to start with a brief introduction of Enterey. At Enterey, we work with leaders who want to orchestrate positive change in their organization. We do that by providing you with process improvement and effective project management to help you execute on your vision. We know there's often too much work and not enough time to get it done, which can often leave leaders feeling anxious and overwhelmed. We believe you deserve the support required to get that job done right. And we get it. It's incredibly frustrating to see the job that needs to be done and have a lack of time and resources be the reasons they don't get accomplished. So we're committed to making sure that those problems get solved for good. And it's why over 95% of our clients are repeat customers. Today, we'll hear from Gil Cargill, our head of sales, who will be sharing our perspective on how you can increase your project management team's productivity through greater engagement while also improving morale. Gil has spent 40 plus years as a consultant, speaker, and trainer, helping thousands of businesses improve their productivity. He has been a virtual sales manager for hundreds of business-to-business sales forces, and he has taught organizations across diverse industries on the importance of developing efficient and effective processes, as well as adopting new technologies. Without further ado, I'll hand it off to Gil. Go ahead, Gil.
Oh, thanks a lot, Mike, and welcome to our presentation. I hope that you all are having a great day. And my goal in the next 20 or 25 minutes is to help you get some insight to make future days even greater than you're currently enjoying. If you're looking for ways to improve the productivity of your project management operations, then you're at the right place. We're going to show you how to improve productivity while improving morale. You will find that our approach is unique in that one goal, improving morale, doesn't conflict with the overarching goal of improving productivity. As Mike just said, 95% of our clients retain us for a second, third, and fourth project, and that's because of our extraordinary precision in executing to the tasks and goals that have been assigned to us. Since we were founded, we've completed over 350 projects. And we work on all levels of a company's organization very effectively based on our unique alignment of our services, our consultants, our team members with the unique needs of each client. One of the things that differentiates Enterey from many of the other organizations in this space is that we don't have a warehouse full of solutions. In other words, we don't recommend something that's on the shelf. Every one of our solutions is custom tailored to our clients' unique needs. So our first step is to really clearly understand the objectives of the project or the program. Once that's in hand, we then design a solution that is the perfect fit for you and get that approved by you and your associates. Lastly, we work with you to implement new ideas and concepts to create positive change. In a phrase, we orchestrate positive change on a custom basis for each of our clients. In our presentation, I'm going to show you how to increase the project manager's productivity while improving morale. And I think it's very important that we stress the second point there. Improving productivity while decreasing morale will ultimately decrease productivity. You'll get a bubble, you'll get a spike, but it won't be permanent. So by changing the process, and that's our secret sauce, if you will, by changing the process, we improve morale while we improve productivity. And I'm going to show you exactly how we do that. I'm going to explain why productivity plateaus exist. In other words, a team can get to a certain level of productivity, but getting beyond that is limited by multiple factors, many of which are within our control, and we'll show you how to eliminate or reduce the impact that those plateau-inducing circumstances have on your overall productivity. Most of our clients, in fact, many of their employees, tell us that as a result of implementing the Enterey way, their stress has gone down, productivity's gone up, and one of the contributors to the reduction in stress is the fact that we've created an environment where predictability exists. As you'll learn, one of the biggest contributors to employee disengagement is the lack of predictability in their day-to-day activity. Now, the real heart of what we're talking about is how time is utilized. A recent study published by rescuetime.com showed that the average American white-collar worker is productive for 2 hours and 48 minutes per day. That's 35% of the day. Now, I'm not inferring that that's the case in your department or down the hall from where you're sitting, but it is an average across all white-collar employees. Assuming that you're somewhere near that average, there's a huge amount of productivity that can be gained by realigning your team, and we're going to show you how. It really boils down to two kinds of time being utilized by project management organizations and project managers. There's productive time, where work that's being done contributes to the strategic goals of the organization, and non-productive time, which can fall into the category of admin time. Admin time occurs when priorities shift. I'm working on project A, management comes to me and says you have to stop that and go to project C. So these shifting priorities create frustration for the project managers. It also reduces the amount of productive time available, and tragically, it increases the probability that employees will create errors, and every error that's created reduces productivity even further. So there's a compounding effect that goes on throughout that. One of the components of this admin time is the time required for reporting on projects to senior management. Now, another study published recently showed that 74% of all white-collar employees were partially disengaged. And they define disengagement as the employee shows up every day, they work every day, work gets through their desk space, but they don't have optimum levels of productivity because of morale. Now, clearly illustrating this is the pie chart. The green slice of the pie is productive time. The blue slice is non-productive. Our goal when we work with organizations like yours is to take that green slice of the pie and expand it into the blue. As we shrink the blue and we give your team more productive time, more work can be done, more productivity can be established. So hypothetically, if you look at this one example, by doubling productive time to 70% of the day, we still have 30% of the day left over for non-productive work, some of which would be admin and other categories. So hypothetically, in this situation, we could double the production without asking the team to work any more hours, to work overtime, or to deal with issues. So the key is to take a look at what is occupying that blue slice of the pie. And once you know that, you can then proceed to reduce or eliminate the circumstances that are creating those situations. This employee disengagement phenomenon is actually getting worse. We have found that multiple task management creates frustration for employees. Changing priorities creates frustration. And both of these combine to reduce production and increase errors, and they create a phenomenon where the project managers feel like they're juggling too many issues. And our key is to focus on redeploying the right people and putting them in the right job at the right time in the right way. And in doing that, we optimize production and we get the morale improvement that you're looking for. Another study published showed that interruptions are key contributors to this disengagement issue. This study showed that in a white-collar working environment, employees are interrupted on average every 8 minutes of the day. It may be nothing more significant than saying, how do you think the team did last week? Or what are you going to do over the weekend? But that's an interruption. The study done by the Navy on productivity showed that each interruption creates an increased probability of an error being made or a mistake being made when the employee gets back to work. So these interruptions increase the probability of errors. Errors reduce the amount of productive time. Errors create delays and rework for the entire organization. And these combine to increase attrition in many departments. And as attrition goes up, we have more work being done by fewer people, and morale goes down. Now, as I see a couple of people are typing into the chat some questions. Feel free to throw all of your questions into the chat and we'll respond to them at the end of our presentation. But what we want to do is make sure that we eliminate the crazy makers that correlate to decreased morale. The more crazy makers that this man on your screen is interacting with, the lower his morale, the higher the probability that he'll put his resume out and start looking for a position at another company. We don't want that to happen. So let's take a moment or two and talk about errors. Our research and our work in companies like yours has shown that there are three kinds of errors that are created in a project management organization. Not deliberately, clearly. I'm not trying to infer any negligence or maliciousness. It's just part of working in a human organization. The first kind of error is self-corrected. This is commonly referred to as a typo. Oops, made a mistake, backspace, delete, retype, and move forward. The second kind of error is an error that's corrected by another member of the team. So I'm working on a particular portion of a project, and when I'm done, I hand my work to someone else, and that individual finds that I made a mistake. Now, that person either corrects the error or they send the work back to me. And if I'm constantly giving that person work that has errors in it, that person's morale goes down dramatically because they are fixing my work. At some level, they start to feel like they're doing two people's work for one paycheck. And I think we all can agree that that's going to contribute to disengagement and perhaps accelerate attrition. The third and the most costly error is an error that leaves the project management organization and it goes up to the executive level. This would be a report with erroneous information. This would be a report that drew incorrect conclusions. Management at the top level finds the mistake. Obviously, there's some tension and disagreement, but it has a huge impact on everybody. It creates a requirement for rework and creates very expensive bad decisions if management follows through on those. So as we work with you, we'll help identify the magnitude and the frequency of these three types of errors. One of our tools is an online survey that I'm going to talk about in detail momentarily, but we want you to know what's going on in your organization as we move forward. And frequently, the view of an organization through the eyes of the project manager are different than the views of the organization from top management. And what I'd like to do now for a moment or two is walk you through a case study with a client that we would be happy to introduce you to should you qualify for that asked us to work within their organization to do what I'm sharing with you today. Their goal was to develop a project portfolio management program that would standardize and increase efficiency of project methodologies, provide transparency and visibility to internal and external workflows, and enable executive level decision-making that is clearly aligned with strategic objectives. We worked with that client utilizing our methodology. We have basically 6 steps to our process. The first step is to define the current state. What's going on in your organization right now? Step 2 is we'll work with you to define the methodology. How do you want the work to flow? What methods are you going to employ to optimize production and productivity within your organization? Our consultants then work with you to develop tools and templates to facilitate easy transition from our workspace, our brains, if you will, into your process, into your organization. In doing that, step 4 is to establish optimum behaviors, and step 5 is to train and support those optimum behaviors to optimize productivity. And step 6 is to automate the processes. As we go through this, productivity goes up, morale goes up. So let's do a deep dive on each of those 6 steps. The first and most important is to conduct our complimentary web-based survey. This is a survey that we've developed that would be completed by your project managers. It takes about 15 or 20 minutes online. It's completely anonymous, but it helps us gain insight into how they view their work, their world, and in turn, your organization. We then follow up with person-to-person interviews, compile the findings of those interviews, and we'll present those to management. We want everyone on your team to understand what we're going to do and how we're going to do it, and have a collaborative relationship with you with the goal of transitioning our expertise and our focus into your organization and making it permanent. As I said at the outset, we don't have a warehouse full of pre-done solutions. We don't go in and say, oh, you need solution number 7 and take it off of the shelf and implement it. We will develop a methodology that complements your strategy. We want to know what outcomes you're expecting from each step of your strategy and what are your timetables and, most importantly, your priorities and sequences. As we develop the methodology, again, utilizing a collaborative approach, working at your side, but not on your payroll, to create the perfect fit for you and your organization. Now, step 6 is to automate your processes utilizing a dashboard, which provides you with transparency and senior management with the ability to clearly understand where everything is standing in terms of projects that are being managed. Essentially, this assures that the right information is in the hands of the right person at the right time, and that always occurs. This dramatically reduces the frequency of changes, priorities, mistakes, and bad decisions. As we move forward from there, we then created what we refer to as a portfolio management cadence. You see, when you have a cadence in place, everyone knows what's going to happen on Monday or Thursday or whatever your cadence happens to be. This predictability lowers stress. It helps everyone get onto the same page. It improves confidence on the parts of everyone on your organization because they all are moving forward in lockstep, and stress is reduced as a result of this. By having this predictability, your team will be more sturdy and less inclined to seek employment at other organizations. We develop tools and templates to facilitate easy implementation of your new methodologies and your new processes. These forms, if needed, would be in place to request modification of priorities on projects or request projects that would enable you to document your procedures and put projects in the priority order that's most important to senior management. As I said, we will help you train your team to the new methodologies. These are the supporting processes, and each one of these engagements is customized to your unique needs. And I can't overstate the fact that we don't believe that one size fits all. We believe that the best fit is the one that you collaboratively help us develop for you. We'll train and coach as needed, but ultimately our goal is to hand the process off to you so that you and your team can manage it moving forward. So as I said, this is what we did for one client who's extremely referenceable, and we'll be happy to introduce you should you qualify to this client. But the results of our implementation was a 47% decrease in the required data input by project leads, reducing their workload. We reduced from the 137 documents per portfolio to 1 document per portfolio, dramatically reducing the workload. On-time delivery of status updates increased from 35% to 95%, giving everyone more confidence and less stress because of that predictability factor that I mentioned a moment or two ago. Leadership was able to have visibility through the automated dashboard that I just mentioned over 100% of the projects. So prior to our starting with this client, leadership felt they had visibility on about 10% of the projects. When we were done, they had visibility on 100%. I'm sure you'd agree that dramatically reduces the stress on the part of management up and down your chain of command. And estimated savings were well over $1.5 million over a 5-year period of time. We would like to do the same for you and perhaps more, but we won't know what we don't know until we conduct that complimentary survey that I mentioned a moment ago. The secret sauce is to reduce or eliminate administrative time wherever possible. Let's stay as productive as possible. That 65% of the pie needs to be shrunk to the degree possible. Let's minimize errors by utilizing automation to give visibility. Let's implement a cadence so people are predictable and priorities change less often, and reworks requirements are reduced. And we will certainly reduce the number of errors that leave a department. This all compiles into a way of looking at your project management organization as having 173 hours of productive time per month, and we want to make as little time as possible for non-productive activity. And the closer we get to 173 hours per month per project manager of productivity, the more aligned with optimum results you will be. The Enterey way is to conduct that virtual voice of customer survey. My associate, Ms. Ashley Chris, will contact you shortly after our webinar to schedule this survey. Again, it's complimentary and it will take your project managers no more than 15 minutes of their day to answer the questions. It's done anonymously, and we compile the data and present it back to you. This gives you 20/20 view of what's going on within your organization. We will gladly recommend any changes, and moving forward with you, engage in a project similar to the one that I just walked you through, assuming that the circumstances are correct. But without that virtual voice of the customer survey, it's very hard to accurately determine the potential for improvement. With it, it's just math. And let's get that going as quickly as possible. As I said, there are 20 questions. It's a 15-minute long exercise. It's completely anonymous. And the survey is the secret sauce, the first ingredient in our secret sauce to helping you achieve the goals that you'd like. Once the survey is completed, we will present our findings and move forward with areas that are available for improvement. We will obviously work with management. We may develop an ROI at that point, may not, depending on circumstances, but we will develop a plan with you to reduce your cost, improve productivity, and improve morale. Now, when you add it all up, the Enterey way of attacking project management productivity will provide you with multiple benefits. And they all start with the complimentary online evaluation or survey of your team. Will lower your cost, will help you make better decisions, which contributes to even lower cost, will provide all levels of management with transparency, morale will improve, attrition will be reduced, and productivity will go up. Now, as I said, Ms. Chris will contact you to schedule the complimentary survey. And once that's in place, we will be able to evaluate the potential for improvement within your organization. So let me turn quickly to the chats, and we will, the questions rather. First question is, how do project managers respond when these type of changes are made? That's a great question. Thanks so much for putting it in. We have found that the best way to approach this is to get buy-in from the project managers as early as possible. Our complimentary survey is designed to incorporate their opinions and have them know that they're contributing to resolving an issue that may be pretty vexing for them at that point of time. So we find that by getting them involved early, their attitude is very positive, very cooperative, and we don't have any resistance. Conversely, if you do this incorrectly and slam dunk, excuse the phrase, this change on your team, you'll get pushback and resistance. Next question, what's the most common challenge we see? Without exception, and the most common challenge is frequently changing priorities. Now, here's how it compounds into reduced morale and increased attrition. When priorities change quickly, employees are essentially trained, and I'm using air quotes around the word trained, to expect a change. So to create a metaphor, management says next week we're going to play football, come to work, dress for football. They get to work Monday at lunchtime, they're told, no, we changed our mind, we're not playing football, we're going to play tennis. And these constant changes induce on the part of your employees a need to say, why bother? That the priorities will change before I'm done with lunch. So consistency and transparency reduce that, and we will help that go away very quickly. The third question is, how long does it take to see results? Great question. You'll see results within 30 to 60 days of the implementation of our project. Implementation starts after we've done our homework and our study, develop the methodology and those things. It's after we train your team that you'll start to see the results. But every company is different, and there are a lot of variables that go into that. But again, by getting your team involved at the very beginning with our survey, you'll see some positive morale improvements very quickly. Just having your employees contribute boosts that, and we move forward from there. So those are the questions that we have. I don't see any more coming through. So I'm going to say thank you very much for attending. And I want you to keep this phrase in mind. When it comes to morale and productivity of your project management operation, it's not your people, it's your process. Thank you very much for attending. This is Gil Cargill. Have a great day.
Thanks, Gil. Appreciate it. I don't see any more questions in the box, so thank you all for attending. We look forward to staying in contact with you, and feel free to reach out if you have any questions. And as Gil mentioned, Ashley will reach out shortly. Thanks so much. Have a great day.
Take care.